Welcome to the live stream. My name oh my name is Zach, and I am the public rep for the Young Greens of Ohio. I'm going to be hosting today's meeting about elders issues, and I'm just going to have everybody introduce themselves. We'll start with Marco. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Marco.
Hi, my name is Marco Aiello. I am the co-chair for the Young Greens of Ohio, and I'm also a political science and history student at Liberty University in Los Angeles. It's nice to be here.
Great. And now we have a special guest. Her name is Jackie. She's from the Green Party of Maine. Jackie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, I'm Jackie Deveneaux, and I live up here in Portland, Maine. I've been with the Green Party since 2000. I am a senior advisor to the state committee. I'm on the national committee, and I am the chair of the Cumberland County Greens. And I work with the Global Green Women's Network. So I'm everything green.
Great. We're glad you're here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And now, Austin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. Thank you so much for tuning into our little live stream today on elders issues, a very special topic that I feel is not discussed much. My name is Austin Bayshore. I'm the Central Committee member of the Ohio Green Party, representing Northeastern Ohio. And I'm also your newly elected co-chair of the International Committee of the Green Party of the United States. I also work as the liaison officer for the Young Greens here in Ohio. So I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy our discussion on elders issues.
All right, thank you for that intro from all of you. We're going to go ahead and start asking some questions, get the topic going. Again, this is on elders issues, everything concerning elders. So the first one is I'm going to ask our guest, Jackie, what resources are available for elders care and what can we do to improve on them?
Well, there are plenty of resources out there. Of course, once you turn 65, you get Medicare, which is wonderful. But depending on what your financial situation is, a lot of states like Maine has Maine Care, which subsidizes what Medicare doesn't cover. A lot of the things that are out there for seniors, you basically have to have a guidebook for and somebody to walk you through it. I think that a lot of elders, and when I say elders, I'm 73 myself, but people in their 80s and 90s, you know, it's a hard time for them to figure all of the red tape and things that go on. And there's a lot of it. And so, yeah, I'm not, I'm fortunate, fortunate or not fortunate. I have Medicare because of my age. I live in subsidized housing, so I can live in Portland, Maine. On my $890 a month Social Security.
That's good. That's amazing. All right, Marco, to you. What resources are available for elders care, and what can we do to improve on them?
Well, in America, a lot of states and like the federal government have their own things. Like she said, a lot of states have their own sort of healthcare they can subsidize the Medicare, and then the federal government you have your Medicare and your Social Security, but a lot of that is threatened to be taken away or shortened, and the retirement age is trying to be raised. And to improve on, like, for elderly people, a lot of that is to lower the retirement age. It's like what? Someone correct me, like what, 67, something like that? Retirement age?
Yeah, I had 68, but
68, 67. And a lot of elderly people are not in the like medical position to work until they're 67, 68 years old.
I agree. All right, Austin, what about you? What resources are available to elders care and what can we do to improve on them?
There's quite a lot of resources available for elders care. However, a lot of them don't actually help the situation. my first thought is nursing homes, and how when our parents get old or people get old, we just ship them off to a nursing home to live their final days. And a lot of these nursing homes are highly, highly abusive towards older people. Sorry, not old people, but older people, people who have more life experience than I. They're highly abusive. So I also think when Jackie was discussing all of the red tape that goes against a lot of our aging populations, it's purposely made in that format. So it is highly confusing, and you need to pretty much need to hire a lawyer, have a whole nother industry in on elder people's care and healthcare, just so you can go to the doctor. I know my grandmother has a very hard time going to the doctor, walking into the doctor's office and owing them $75 by just walking in the door. If most of you don't know, I have been living in Korea, and I think the most I've ever paid for a doctor's visit was $32. And that's when I got toxic sea sponge poisoning on the beach. And I had to stay overnight in the hospital, specialty antitoxin medicines. So yeah, there's a lot of money in elder care, but it's not for us. It's not for us. Somebody out there profiting, but it's not us.
Not being distributed properly.
Mm-mm.
All right. The next question is, we're going to go to Marco this time again. How can we advocate for elder care politically?
We don't have universal health care in this country. A lot of their health care has to be like subsidized by the state and the federal government. So we don't have really a good healthcare system for anyone or elders. So we could do that by just having universal health care. I think that is a good way for elderly people to get better medical treatment without going into debt in this country.
All right. Jackie, what about you? How can we advocate for elder care politically?
Yes, I agree with Marco. Definitely, single payer healthcare is something that I've been pushing for 50 years now. So yeah, it is what we need. You know, a lot of the healthcare programs like Advantage, like you'll hear Advantage and you'll hear all these wonderful things you can get. They're connected, most of them, to insurance companies. This is another thing that people don't realize. So you really have to have somebody sharp to guide you through your aging. It is, I'd say don't age, but I know that's not the good thing to say to people.
Right. All right, thank you. And then back to you, Austin. How can we advocate for elder care politically?
Yeah, absolutely. Universal healthcare is one of the most important things in helping our elder population, but also strengthening our welfare laws, our aging welfare laws, to criminalize and make sure our elder populations are safe in those medical institutions. I was discussing earlier about the sheer amount of abuse you hear on the news in retirement homes and aging facilities and centers, where people in their most desperate hour, their most disadvantaged hour, are being smacked, hit, abused. They're not being washed, they're not being taken care of, and they need those special assistances that they're just not getting. Outside of politics, I think we just need to be kinder to each other. Yes, some old people are rude, stick up their butt old people, but that's not everybody. That's not all of them.
It's young people.
Some old people are just as sprightly as us. Old people race me up the mountains all the time and beat me on the hiking trails all the time. But we also need to stop thinking of old people as thrown away, done with their life, going to sit in the home and do nothing all day, because a lot of these old people could run laps around you if they really tried.
Agreed. Thank you. All right. Next question is, what are challenges
I
facing
think
the elder?
Jackie had a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jackie.
I didn't know if I could comment on that.
Oh, go ahead.
You have to think about it this way. We're all going to get old if we're going to live. There are
Mhm.
good and bad people. It's not because we're old. It's because who we each are individually. The people that are running this country, the very old men there, do not represent me, and they are not who I am. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
That's very great. That's a very great point, Jackie. Thank you.
Most
Thank
of
you.
our elderly now were the weed smoking hippies of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So
I agree.
I prefer Flower Child. Thank you.
Flower child. Yes. All right. What are the challenges facing the elder care system? And what are the potential solutions to these challenges that elder care system faces? I'll go to Jackie first.
Okay. Yeah. You know, this is a thing like everything else. They could make it, and they should make it easier for people that are older, between the housing and the medical and the food. You know, they could do that, but it's the people with money that want to continue to draw your blood even at this age, for their own benefits. There's a lot that can be done. And I think Austin said it, if we just cared for each other, there's no reason. I mean, the indigenous people, they care for each other. They honor their elders. They learn at the feet of their elders. And I'm not talking about math, but life. This is the one thing that we missed when we killed the Native Americans instead of learning from them. They have the earth knowledge. That's what they taught each other, and that is what would have saved us. Sorry.
Right. Amazing. You hit it on the head there. Thank you. All right. Marco, you next.
I'd say some challenges that need fixing. I'll go back again to the retirement age. That is probably the number one thing we need to fix, is lowering the retirement age. We should not have an elder person who's, on their last days barely can working in like a factory or something. We can't have that. It's bad for them and bad for business. And then back again to the universal health care. We need universal health care. That is the number one thing for everyone and elderly people.
Can I just reply for a second to that?
Yeah.
Fact that, yeah, they've raised the age to, I think it is 67.
Yeah.
However, you can retire before that and start drawing Social Security. It's just that your full Social Security will not kick in until you're 67. And if you take it earlier, you will only get what you got earlier. It won't go up when you reach 67.
Yeah. I remember my grandparents having issues with that, about the whole it won't go up when you're 67, and you can get it beforehand, the retirement. So yeah. Austin, what about you? I'll restate the question for you. It's, what are challenges facing the elder care system, and what are the potential solutions to these challenges that elder care faces?
I think a lot of our issues people don't realize is around transportation. Just elderly people being able to go to the hospital, elderly people being able to go places, because a lot of elderly people can't drive. And in the United States, 90% of the country, we have no form of public transportation whatsoever. This also leads to social isolation issues with elderly people. Their grandkids and their children don't visit them because they're busy with school and work. And so they just sit in the house all day doing nothing. Social isolations. So we need to have programs in place specifically for the transportation needs of our elderly populations. $1 taxis, that could really help. Buses going to and from places, having companies or some type of government organization that elderly people can call and be like, hey, I need to go to the hospital. Please help me. I can't drive a car. That we could solve so many issues just with giving our elderly populations the freedom of movement again. We keep mentioning the retirement age being what, 65, something around there. That's the average life expectancy for a Black man in the United States. The life expectancy for a Black man in the United States is on par with the retirement age. So a lot of elderly people have what? The average life expectancy in general in the United States is 77. You got 10 years of your least mobile years of your life to enjoy everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
if you make it.
The root of a lot of these issues is just poor distribution of our nation's funds. Like, it's very poor distribution of it. They're not being used for the right things they probably should be used for.
Mm-hmm.
So yep. If there aren't any more comments, we'll go ahead and move to the next question, which is, how do prescription drug prices affect elders on a fixed income? How can we fix it? Marco, I'll go to you first.
A lot of elders on a fixed income, it's in the name, their income doesn't go up or down, and prescription prices are very expensive in the United States. It's even like what, diabetes, like what, 200 something to get their stuff. A lot of them can't even get that if you're on a fixed income. Some of them are on what, $800 a month. They can't live off that. It's crazy.
It's not right. Jackie, what about you?
Yeah, that's basically me. Yeah, this is it. Everything just goes right back to the heart of everything. We have got to stop the wealthy, rich, greedy people that have taken over the world and are keeping us all in poverty level. We have to, yes, nursing homes, people do need to have medical attention, but at the same time, we can start doing such things as making house sharings where a group of elderly women can live together for the rest of their lives and we need to make it not, this is almost like how you do with farm animals. You just ship them off, put them in one big thing and just leave them there. Everybody on here is has their own worth of what they have to their lives and have to share. It doesn't stop when you get older, and it actually gets more. I am not book knowledge, believe me. But the life knowledge that you gain over time is why it's so important to be able to have that communication and to share with people, because this is what it is. It's what you learn from going through these things. And I'll tell you, if I had learned what I was headed into right now, I would have taken the little pill. Trust me, I want to live, but yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot. So.
Great. All right. Austin, what about you? How do prescription drug prices affect elders on a fixed income, and how can we fix it?
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. These prescription drug companies, knowing that the medical care providers will pay anything and everything, and just outright hiking the prices for absolutely no reason and no control whatsoever, gouging the eyes out of our elderly population, getting every single last penny from them. They're one of our most vulnerable populations. They're our population with our most our most impoverished populations in the country are our elder people. The rate of people who are taking their own life is skyrocketing in our elder populations because most of them just can't afford to pay their medications, you know. Deliberately not taking your medications because you can't afford it is a form of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really upsetting that these people can find a profit in the health and wellness and the survivability of our elderly populations. I know there's been times where my grandparents have cut pills in half and taken half doses because they couldn't, their social security check hadn't arrived that month, or the Republicans in power cut how much they would receive each month. And it's, nobody should have to live like that. I'm getting so upset about it right now, but you've worked your whole life, you've given your whole life to this country, to a country that doesn't give a shit about you in your most desperate hour. It's extremely upsetting to me.
You're right. It's disgusting, honestly. We need better representation in our government. All right, the next question is, how has inflation affected elders who are living on a pension? Jackie, why don't you go first?
Well, you know, I don't have a pension, so I'm not really familiar with how it affects the people on a pension. But you know,
it's similar to a fixed income.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's I know how it is on the little bit of Social Security that I get. You know, it's crazy, you know, and they gave us help during the pandemic, but then they pulled it back after. They just pulled it all back, and there's a bunch of people that are having a hard time getting their food now, and because the the grocery prices have gone through the roof. It's really very, very difficult. And I think the important thing to remember is that us elders, for the most part, are you and me, the only people that don't have to go through what I'm going through, and a lot of people are going through, are those who are rich and wealthy and can afford anything that they want medically, any food, nothing affects them. And sadly, in Congress, that is where they are. If they have the medical care that they have for life, every senior should get that when they become a senior. And that's all I gotta say.
All right, thank you so much. Marco, how has inflation affected elders who are living on a pension?
Well, when inflation goes up, their pensions get eaten at basically, and it goes down. So they're not getting as much money from retirement as they should. That is a bad thing. I don't think elders' money should be tied to inflation, especially when inflation is at what, 8-10% right now. So Yep.
All right, Austin. How has inflation affected elders who are living on a pension?
So most pensions are made up of investments, right? Unlike Social Security, they don't offer a cost of living adjustment to keep up with the inflation rate. That's one strike. The other strike, the one good thing about it is that most state and local governments in Ohio will cover about 2 to 3% of adjustment a year for inflation on people's pensions. Private sector employees that still provide preventions, however, don't offer that type of inflation adjustment. And there's a huge tension between the pension adjustment and maintaining a longer financial plan. But yeah, the inflation rate's the highest it's ever been in 40 years, 8.5%. And if local and state governments are only covering 2 to 3% of pension plan, of inflation for pension plans, it's not enough. Not to mention even corporate pensions, private pensions don't even cover inflation. So it's really taking a hurt on our seniors in a country where we don't have any type of socialized housing. If I can do math really quick. So so say you have $25,000 in your pension. A 2% inflation would erode your original value by 16,000, a third. You would lose a third of your pension plan if there's just a 2% inflation. So that's why the government covers 2%. But 8% now, it's almost unlivable for many elderly people. And y'all survived that long. y'all pushed to the retirement age. You deserve to be taken care of.
That's right. That is right. All right. And that moves us on to our next question, which is, how are elders affected by ageism? Jackie, I'm going to have you speak on this first.
Thanks. I think it's one of the hardest things, especially since I'm really 22.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
You're
I never got married. I never had kids. You know, I'm still going to AC/DC. I'm, you know, it is to be treated like you're just somebody that can just be thrown away, that your whole life didn't matter. And the fact that you got gray hair, or you're, you know, have to walk with a cane or whatever, you know, and it's the saddest. It's very, very sad. It's very, very hard, because as I said, when you say they, it's really we. You are going to be here. And so everything that you know, all I've been fighting for 50 years is to make the world better for you guys, okay? You guys have got to fight so that when you reach my age, these things are taken care of. This is one of the reasons we wanted to do an elders caucus, so we could start pushing out there these things that people needed to be doing and making a difference for when you get to the stage. But yeah, it's very, very sad. As I said, in other cultures, they honor their elders, they learn from their elders' life knowledge, and you know, they wouldn't just shove them away someplace. So yeah, it's an American thing. And I don't mean to say American, because we are the United States. We are not America. America are the continents.
You're right.
And trying never to use that, especially with Native Americans. They were here before we were called America to begin with. So
I agree. Thank you so much. All right, Marco, how do you think elders are affected by ageism?
Well, especially you see it everywhere, like Austin talked about, was the nursing homes. They get treated like they're secondhand citizens. We see them as just, they're dying, we can just leave them alone. They'll be gone soon, which it shouldn't be like that. It's what my mom told me. Treat people how you want to be treated, and that's how we should see our elderly people, because we'll be them soon.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Austin, how do you think elders are affected by ageism?
They're treated quite poorly, especially in the job aspect. If you're an elderly person and your institution goes under and you have to find a new job, a lot of elders have very, very hard time finding new workplaces, because workplaces just don't want elderly people, even though all of their benefits of all the years they've worked, workplaces still want 21-year-olds with 20 years of experience, you know? And I'm guilty of this, of ageist thinking all the time as well. If I'm stuck behind an older person and they're sorry, my cat, they're walking a little slow, I've caught myself thinking, okay, grandpa, let's go. I haven't had,
That's all of us, I feel, you know what I mean?
I haven't had compassion. I haven't sat and thought for a second about, I was too busy in the moment getting where I needed to go to think about this other person. And we've all done it. We've all,
I still do it. And I'm old.
So, and the impact of ageism is very strict, and especially with elder people having to restart their life or going about things and daily things, and not necessarily people berating them on the street for being old, but our own personal inner monologues of how we interact with elderly people, thinking, oh, just another old racist white guy. Or while there are some, yes, that's true. And they're quite loud. I don't think everybody all day in your daily life is like that.
Great. Great. All right. Our next question is going to be our last question of the night. It's kind of a rather important one. It's as elders age, how does death of family and peers affect their day-to-day lives? How can we create more outreach programs such as the encouragement of therapeutic practices so that elders don't feel as alone? I came up with these questions last night, a couple of them. I want to give a shout out to Aiden Raymond, one of our Ohio Green Party members. He created some of them, I created some of them, but I asked my grandmother, I said, what do you think is the biggest issue right now impacting our elders in the United States? And she said her family and her peers dying off. So, you know, this is kind of important to me because she just told me how hard it was to see all of her family and peers kind of die, unfortunately, and it bothered her. So Jackie, we'll start with you on this one.
It's not just your family and peers, it's your idols, like your rock and roll stars and all the people that you know. It's very strange. I'm 73 years old and I live right now with the fact that I could die any day. I've never had problems with my blood pressure, but I do now, and I have to take my blood pressure every morning. And then I have to worry, am I going to have a heart attack? There's a lot to getting old. And when you start losing all of your friends, they're there one day and the next day they're not. It is very important, and it's very, very difficult. I am blessed because I have stayed an activist. I don't sit around and twiddle my thumbs, trust me on that one. But many, many elders are confined to homes for many different reasons at home and can't get out and don't have people around them, and they're just by themselves. And then the more people that are dying. So yeah, it's very interesting. And I say this all the time to my friends, we have conversations now at this age, and all we talk about is our health. Because until you reach this age, you don't realize it's like a daily basis. Something else goes, something else goes. Because your system is basically shutting down. Now that doesn't mean, because I'm 73 and I have some problems, but I know 90-year-old people that'll dance circles around me. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's all to do with your physical and mental makeup. But still, yeah, it affects, especially those people that don't have a circle of friends or family, and they just sit there and one person dies and another person dies, and what do you have to live for? And your health is not there. Yeah, it's not for the weak of heart getting old.
Right. All right. Thank you so much for that answer. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. It's kind of like individualism, like with your health. You know what I mean? When you said there are 80-year-olds who can, or 90-year-olds who can dance circles around yourself, like, it kind of reflects on the way that we treated our bodies when we were young. So that has a big part to play in it. Marco, what about you?
Elders' death can affect elders or just anyone badly. Like, for example, my grandma, her husband died. She lived by herself, so she's feeling very lonely and no one out to help her because her husband used to help her very much. Like, they'll help each other. They just tag team each other, helping each other. I mean, so my sister had to go in and help her, buy her groceries, help to pay bills in the house. So it's just very lonely, and you don't have anyone to help you. And then a lot of these other people don't have anyone to help them, and their family just sees them as old and not helping them, and then don't know if they're gonna die in their house and don't check up on them. Like years ago, a neighbor, she was very old. Her family never checked up on her, and turns out she was dead in her house for 2 weeks because no one checked on her. She had no husband because he died. So it's, a lot of them just need support at that age.
Mhm. All right, Austin, what about yourself?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's as elders age, how does death of family and peers affect their day-to-day lives? How can we create more outreach programs, such as the encouragement of therapeutic practices, so that elders do not feel as alone?
But yes, I've thought about this before. When I get older, seeing like, how am I going to react when I see Nicki Minaj passed away, 82 years old? How am I going to react when I see Natalie Portman passed away, heart attack, 94? Like all of my childhood icons and crushes. I've thought about this before. I'm like, oh no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Britney Spears passed away in her home. I'm like, no, I'm not ready for this. So just thinking about it gives me a little bit of panic. So I can't imagine actually living through it. I imagine I'll feel the same way I felt when Carrie Fisher passed away. When I learned about her, she was one of my childhood role models, Star Wars and all the amazing movies she was in. And to remedy this, again, I think we need better transportation for our elderly. We need incentivized taxis to public transportation to take our elders to medical facilities, take them around to places that they need to go. That will not only give them their freedom of movement back that a lot of elderly people lose, but also it'll make our roads a little bit safer. Give people peace of mind driving on the road. So that's very, very important. So,
Can I tell you quickly one thing in the area that I live in? They have an elders home, and in that home is a daycare for children, and the elders run it. And I think that it is one of the coolest things going, because it connects these generations and it helps them understand at a very young age what that is. And it helps those that are aging and about to die to feel that happiness again, to feel that. That's one of the biggest things. You know, as I said, I'm 22 inside, and it's very, very difficult to give up all that wonderful life, all the stuff that you did at that age. And now you can't physically do it anymore. And it's, yeah, there's a lot to this aging thing. And it's, so I just think basically you need to, you younger folks need to figure out like ways to make housing that will make more community and not such isolation. I live in an apartment complex, and there's so many people that just stay locked in their apartment that never, ever, hardly ever come out.
Mm-hmm.
So loneliness is a huge killer in the US.
Yes. And it's across the board. I mean, it's not just, it works at the other end too. You folks all know, especially with the LGBTQ and the BIPOC people and everything, you know that the more that we live in silos, the more that they keep us divided, the harder it is. So I just keep saying, realize this isn't them and us, this is all us. And we've got to learn to work and build together.
Speaking on specifically the death issue in the elder care, I remember when my grandmother discovered online obituaries. When she learned about those websites, she found her high school yearbook, and she asked me to look up all 32 of her classmates, all 32 of her high school classmates. schools weren't big back then. But yeah, she was we realized she was one of the last ones left. And she didn't seem too affected by it. She's just like, well, that happens. That's time. But yeah, she was just like, where's this person? And oh, they passed away in 2007. She's like, okay. We ate lunch together in high school.
This video that I put in the link in here for, towards the very end, there's a Green from Massachusetts named Eli, and he was 96 years old. And he speaks towards the end, and he died several months after that. So it's one of those things that still, he was just this little decrepit man, but he still had things to say and to get things out. And so I just want you to know notice him when you do that, because that's just what we're kind of talking about here.
All right. That's great. Well, if there isn't any more questions, comments, or concerns, that'll be the conclusion of our live stream. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our attendees, especially Jackie, joining us from the Green Party of Maine. Let's give her a hand, everybody. Yay. All right, great. All right. Is that all from everybody?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Good luck with all your work.
Thank you.